Hello, this is Kyle Brooks. This is my Geography 2011 Lab 4 video. And the two sectors of campus I chose for the first question and for the analysis as a whole would be East Campus and the Tate Sanford region. And I chose these two sectors to discuss a big difference and some minor similarities between the two. The difference is that the East Campus area has a much higher percentage of beauty landmarks, as you can see here. 35 in East Campus versus only 6 in the Tate Sanford area, which leads to 58% in East Campus and only 12.5% in the Tate Sanford area. I think the reason behind the difference is that East Campus is mostly residential, dominated by East Campus Village, the Ramsey Center area, and even the frequent visits by the rest of the campus. And that leads to it being more recreational. Especially we see down here the park and the lake and Ramsey here, and this is East Campus Village. This is University Village, and oftentimes it's also this border is not exactly a border. It's kind of shaded. Really, sometimes it's kind of a gray area as to whether or not they're really, because this whole community kind of converges sometimes, from what I can tell. As I said, it's more recreational, largely consisting of non-developed zones for outdoor enjoyment. Actually, one of my points is up here. This is the Riverway, which isn't technically East Campus, but it sort of kind of is part of it, but it really starts in this area here. Also, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the Tate Sanford area is largely developed. It includes the stadium here, Tate and the MLC, which is an entire hall mainly devoted to study. At least I go there a lot. And since it's the center of campus, it makes sense that the largest structures are built there. This takes away from the beauty element, even though the buildings aren't necessarily ugly, just they're not natural. And it can be backed up by a similar trend between the two communities. And this is a similarity. As beauty increases, study space decreases, and I'll show you that here on this table that we just had pulled up. So we can see here, and this is a very general trend, so it's not like obvious, like wow, duh, but it's a trend nonetheless. As you can see here, the beauty trend is down here in the Tate area, but however the study sharply increases. Landmarks is a little more subtle. They're both around the same for both of them, but this study is the big difference. But that's a similar trend between the two. And it has to be considered also that the Tate and Sanford area is smaller than East Campus, and that probably does alter the results because there's not as much area to dedicate to the different themes. And again, Tate is the center of campus, and therefore it's closer to a lot of the classrooms, and students would definitely choose to go study there when they needed to. For the second question, the architectural nature of Tate and Sanford is again made evident by the types of points chosen by the class in the different sectors, and that means like the beauty points in Tate are buildings or man-made, where architectural and East Campus Village they're more natural landmarks. Examples of these and the beauty is really the beauty points are really the ones that I've focused on, as you can probably tell. Lake Herrick and the Oconee Forest Park are really the main beauty points down here. You can see a lot of the beauty points here, which are in red. And red is beauty, green is study, and then the blue is the landmark. So down here, it's really around this area. Whereas up here in Tate, we only get 2 of the beauty things, but they are both man-made. As you can see, the crepe myrtle and the MLC courtyard, and this is man-made because it's this specifically stated here that it's manicured foliage. It's not natural, obviously. But so that's really the big thing here, and the types of locations aren't the same. And we can even see that trend with the types of study spaces, which are mainly outdoor here, whereas if we come up to Tate, it's all building study, architectural and whatnot. And that really highlights the purpose of these communities. This is more of an indoor. Hey, this is UGA's center and everything, and this is largely outdoor areas. And for the third question, West Campus is largely unpopulated by points of interest, and I think this was due to our class demographic. Really, West Campus is populated by majority of freshmen, and our class really isn't a freshman level course, so it's unlikely that there are a lot of freshmen in our class. Sorry, the internet's having some issues loading this, as you can see. But as I said, it's largely not a freshman demographic in the class. And even if there were freshmen, I think that from personal experience, I've never really been told, hey, go visit West Campus, go visit Sanford on West Campus. It just doesn't that doesn't happen. Also, and there's no Sanford Stadium on West Campus, is what I'm saying. There's nothing like a huge landmark. There's nothing. I've been there a handful of times, and it was always to eat at Oglethorpe, and that's nothing special. We have 5 dining halls, and Oglethorpe, personally to me, isn't the best anyways. So another big thing that causes bias could possibly be bad dorm experiences there. I've heard a lot of those bad freshman year experiences in that particular area of campus. And the general lackluster of West Campus when compared to the lively East, North, and South campuses. Doesn't mean that West Campus is ugly. It just means that there's not as much going on over here. Not many classes. It's largely just it's West Campus. And this area, this entire area here, I'm again sorry that this isn't loading. It's the internet, but these aren't really academic halls, so to speak. They're more organizations and whatnot. So most people are going to be spending their time on this backbone of campus, so to speak, this area in this area here. And for the last question, I think in this case, in the case of question number 4, going back to question 3 again, and referring to data bias with VGI, this data set could not show a better example of this, in my opinion. We can only suggest places that we visited, and we can only we only really tend to report places that we enjoy when it comes to voluntary going out and really reporting places of interest, which is what we were asked to do here. That may not always be the case. So like on Google Maps, when you leave reviews, it's not always the case. You only leave negative reviews. This would be an opposite. That would be an opposite example of this, when you don't have many people going out and saying, oh, I ate at McDonald's, it was the greatest thing ever. Most of the things you see there are, oh, they forgot something in my order, stuff like that. And that's also bias. And in the case of the video on YouTube posted by Dr. Shannon, which was the third part of the data privacy and VGI video series, near the 5-minute mark, they show bias between neighborhoods based on race. Like black neighborhoods were more likely to have negative adjectives when describing them and rating them, whereas in white neighborhoods were always tended to be better on that side. And it's based, in our case, in this particular case, this bias is more locational. I don't think there's a big race difference between these two. Maybe experience difference. I can't personally comment on that because I never lived on West Campus and I never had the freshman experience here because I am a transfer student. But I would say from my friends that have been on campus and just the general feel of West Campus, from the sort of vibe that I got when I went there, I do believe that it's largely biased towards the fact that most of our classes occur here. Most people enjoy not living in West Campus in freshman dorms because it is a requirement for freshmen to live on campus, obviously. So it's not always a guaranteed good experience. But in overall, again, in summation for question 4, I think that the bias is more locational in our sense. Like, again, we can't report everywhere that we haven't been, and we're only really reporting good areas here, as we were asked to do, or areas that we thought were good. And that sums up my lab for it. This is the end of this video. Thank you for your time.